Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakat, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach the Bible in 100% truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes of Israel. That includes 144,000, and they consist of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in the land of North, Central, and South America, as well as the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst the other nations. Shalom to you. Okay, before I get into it, it's been a few days since I managed to put something together. It's been over a week. I think it's 8 days since I managed to upload my last video, and since we hit December, I started to find certain issues. Don't forget we're fighting against spiritual powers in high places. We're fighting against a spirit, a vibration that works against us. We want to come out and give you this truth. So we have the spirit of truth, the spirit of prophecy, the spirit of Yahweh Shai. And, but being of the spirit of Yahweh Shai, this world is not, we're not of this world. So this world is against us. And then you have certain times like now we're coming up close to Christmas. And Christmas is pretty much a demonic time. It's a wicked time. It's a custom of the heathen. It's that type of celebration. And so the same way that we come out and we speak the truth, we speak the spirit, through the spirit of prophecy, through the Holy Spirit, through the spirit of Yahweh Shai, we push out a vibration through the power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. So on the left-hand side, you have these, wicked people out here that push the vibration on the opposite level, i.e. Christmas. That's one of them things. Easter, and even the Islamic festivals, whatever festival you can think of that comes from one of these other nations around the world, whoever they are, whatever type of festival it is, there's customs to it, there's idols, there's certain type of worship, and according to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, it's all wicked. And the reason why it's like that is because we as a people, we were given the laws and commandments by Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, and yet we still follow the customs of the heathen. So we get involved in these particular things like Christmas. And I've mentioned it before, you got Christmas is something that if you're living in Western society, it's pretty much in your system. It's born, as you're born, you think people that are born in a Western culture, in the UK, for example, or America, and then a thing like Christmas is, you've pretty much attended every single Christmas dinner from when you're born. You think your family celebrates Christmas, so you're born, you're 0 years old, and you'll have your first Christmas, and they'll sit you in the high chair around the Christmas table, and they'll feed you whatever they can feed you. So people now, they're living as adults and they've grown up, and maybe they're 25 years old and they've attended 25 Christmas dinners in that time. And so now we come to the truth. We wake people up to who they are, and there's a lot of people that realize they're Hebrew Israelites, but they can't shake off the customs of the heathen. And this is where the proof of in the pudding is really. The Holy Spirit's working on you. Then you should be able to detach yourself from the customs and rituals and traditions of this world. But if you call yourself a Hebrew Israelite and you find yourself sitting down to Christmas dinner, ultimately you're helping to propel a wicked vibration. And that's the vibration that's going out now at the minute. And so like I say, for myself, I've just found all of a sudden December's hit and I've just got pure different issues hitting me. And then this week as well, I had to go and get some dental work. So, I don't normally take medication off Esau, pain relief, tablets. I don't do that. I normally do everything natural, but I had to do some dental work. And the pain relief that they gave me, and I didn't know I was going to have to have that. And when I got there, she said, "No, I'm going to have to give you this injection." I was like, "Fuck's sake!" And then now it knocks me sideways. I'm not used to having medication, like I say, from Esau, from this world. I normally deal with everything natural. And a few days ago, I had to have, one of their pain reliefs, if you like, strong one. And what I find every time, last time I took that as I had operation in 2018, and I had to have anesthetic at that time. And then what it does, it just literally knocks you out. And the side effects are quite strong. But if you're in this world and you've always been taking tablets and medication, pharmakia from these Edomites, and then that poisoning, you're used to the poisoning, and you've been taking it on board slowly, bit by bit, so it doesn't really affect you. But when you're not used to taking it, and then you have to take it for whatever reason, it hits you in a big way. So I kind of been out of it. So like I said, we're approaching this time of Christmas, and there's a wicked vibration out there. Now, the thing with Christmas, the thing you need to remember, first of all, we have Job chapter 9 and 24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So we tell you all the time, just like I mentioned, we're pushing out a truthful vibration, the vibration of prophecy, the vibration of the Holy Spirit, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. But the world that we live in and the way society is run is in control of the wicked. And it says, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So, all you got to do to work out who the wicked are is look for images of the Most High. The top judge is the Most High, and then you have judges after that. You have kings and queens that have ruled all over the world at some point. You then got to look for a group of people who've come along and covered up the faces and the images of these people and put their own images on there. So we always mention Revelation chapter 1 and 13 gives you a description of Yahushai, who's the Messiah, the Son of the Most High, the Anointed, and it clearly describes what you would call a so-called black man. So we know that, for example, Jesus is an image they give you of the Messiah, and we know that to give you that image, they're pretty much covering up the face of Yahushai. So we're here to bring you this truth and bring out the information, and that's why it says here, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. So that is the wicked. Now you see this image of sweet boy Jesus, and it looks like what you would call a Caucasian, and what we refer to as an Edomite, the descendants of Esau, or a Idumean, amongst other names. And these guys, they have gone forth to cover the faces of the Most High with their own images. And so now you have a description of the wicked, what it says here in Job 9 and 24. So when you come to Christmas, this is what the wicked are about. It's about all their religious festivals is ultimately about covering up the faces of the judges and putting their own image, their own spin to it. And we know that they've done that with, for example, with Christianity. A Christian is a believer, and the true believers are the Hebrew Israelites, people of a Negro, Latino, Native American descent, if you like, through descent, ultimately who are descendants of of Jacob. So when you look at this deal with Christmas, Chris, you got to look at the language that they're giving you. They're giving you Christ, which is the anointed one, which is Yahushai, according to the scriptures, according to the description, according to the ancient Hebrew language and the Greek language. We know that the Son of the Most High was born through Mary and Joseph, and we know that ultimately he was named Yahushai, he saves, and he is a Hebrew, so he has a Hebrew name. And this is the anointed. You have many anointed, which is the word Christ. So for example, the prophets are anointed to come and speak this word, but the top anointed one, the anointed, is Yahushai. He's anointed to rule this earth, to be King of Kings and Lord of Lords over everybody on the planet. So Yahushai being the Christ, which is the anointed one, So it's not a name, it's just a title, a description of him. And so Christmas is, we look up the word Christmas, we have the Anointed One, which is Yahweh Shai, and then we have Mass. So we have a Mass for the Anointed One. Now when you look up the word Requiem, as you can see here, it says Requiem or Requiem Mass, also known as Mass for the Dead. When you look up the word Mass in Latin, it pretty much goes back to the word dismissed. Like I said, we have the Roman Catholic Church, Christianity. They have adopted the idea of the Bible and they've twisted it and made up their own understanding through it. They're not giving you the true understanding of the scriptures. They just use the power behind the book to put fear into people, and they come up with their own rules, their own paganistic rituals and customs. And so ultimately, once they create the fear in the people follow these religions, and now they're following paganistic customs. But we're here to give you the truth and to break you free of that, and to show you the true Most High Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai. But back here we've got the word Mass. Mass is the main Eucharistic liturgical service in many forms of Western Christianity. Sorry about my pronunciation. So a Mass is a liturgy, pretty much. A liturgy is the customary public ritual of worship performed by a religious group. So you have a liturgy, which is a customary public ritual performed by a religious group, and a liturgy is also a Mass. And a Mass is a dismissal. So Christians try to say that we teach this word, we learn the word, and then we go out and teach and we're dismissed. That's why they have these masses. But ultimately, wouldn't that be an apostle? Apostle is the one who learns and gets sent away. But another way to describe a mass is a dismissal. So masses come for the dead. You would hold a requiem, which is a requiem mass, also known as a mass for the dead, a dismissal, a public service carried out by a religious group. So ultimately, when you celebrate Christmas, you're celebrating the Anointed One's dismissal. That's what Christ's Mass is. There's only one Christ. They try to give you all these other names, Jesus, so on and so forth. But ultimately, through the scriptures, through the truth of it, who is the Anointed One? It's Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High. So Christmas is about the dismissal of the Anointed One, but it's also about the birth of baby Jesus. So now you start to get your head around what it is you're sitting down and celebrating. You're celebrating the dismissal of the true anointed of the scriptures of the Most High, and you're celebrating the birth of baby Jesus. Now this is a new face that's been born and used to cover the faces, or the face of the main judge. Apart from Yahweh, you have Yahweh Shai. So you have Yahweh, the main judge, and then you have Yahweh Shai, and they've covered his face with that image. So, easily we can understand that the Edomites are classified as the wicked, and we can understand that, worshipping Jesus and celebrating Christmas, ultimately what you're doing is dismissing Yahweh Shai and celebrating the birth of sweet boy Jesus, which is just, all. When you come across this image of sweet boy Jesus, all you're coming across is an image of the son of Caesar, or you're coming across an image of Caesar Borgia, who's the son of Pope Alexander VI, I believe. So that's all it is. It's just a person. And the name they gave this particular image is Jesus, which is not a particular word. It has no real meaning. It's pretty much made up of different word, like a word with different sounds added into it. The true anointed, the true Messiah, the true Son of the Most High, Yahweh Shai, he is Christ because he is the anointed. His name is Yahweh Shai. He saves. Now in the Paleo Hebrew, what his mum and dad would have called him, Mary and Joseph, they would have called him Yahweh Shai. When you fast forward and translate that into the Greek, that becomes Eozus. And when you translate that forward again into English, it becomes Joshua. So to call on Yahweh Shai in a modern day language, you'd have to say Joshua. To call on Yahweh Shai in the Greek, you'd have to say Eozus. To say Jesus is just a word with different sounds added in there, pretty much like they would do with a marketing agenda, a marketing ploy. They would come up with ways of rewording phrases to make them sound snazzy and snappy, in order to people to take note and interest of it. And that's what they did. They came out with a new image of a new Most High, of his son, a Messiah. They gave him a new name, and they got the world to follow that. And that's something that these Edomites have done many times. That's also something that other heathen nations have done at various times. The idea of Jesus, or Jesus the Christ, comes from the idea of Serapis Christus. You can look him up, or you could even look up Quaz, the god of the Edomites. So they got this idea. These other nations, all of them, they have this idea, because ultimately, I mentioned in the previous video, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai is the power of Israel. There's only one nation of people on this planet that can call on the name Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai and have a positive reaction. These other nations can't do it. And if the world was in order today, we would have all these other nations subdued and subject them to the teachings of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, and automatically they will be made to follow it. That is something that's due to happen in the kingdom of heaven. But at the minute, Revelation chapter 20, we're living in a time when the devil has been let loose. So there's a lot of deception across the earth, a lot of lies being told, and that leads you back to Job chapter 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So celebrating Christmas, calling yourself a Hebrew Israelite, and then you're going to go and sit down for Christmas dinner. And why? Oh, because the wife wants me to do it. Oh, because, and what did the wife say? Oh, we do it for the kids. And this is what seems to be a common theme. And ultimately, what you're doing is getting the kids to worship Satan and the devil, a wicked spirit. Like I say, this has happened many times in many different kingdoms, many different empires. There have been many different gods. And the only thing at the minute is we're living in this time with this particular God, and in this particular kingdom with this lie. We always get spun a lie, but now they're getting broken down. Now, you go to Jeremiah chapter 10. It says a satire on idolatry. Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 1 says, "Hear ye the word which Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." So for example, we see these so-called UFOs in the sky, and we can tell you that they are chariots of Israel, chariots of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, the angelic vehicles. We see all these other signs in the heaven. We see changes with the weather. We see signs going down on earth today. We know that the end is coming, but yet knowing who we are, knowing that we have a power, a true power, a power that actually lives, we understand when we see these spiritual things take place, we understand that it is down to that heavenly power, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. These other nations, they don't have that power. So they make up their powers, they make up their gods, they can reinvent them and redesign them, and they just sell them to the people, and ultimately it's selling them the idea of a Most High in order to create fear, to control them. But we're here to give you this truth and let you know, the house of Israel, and that we are different from these heathen. As it says here, thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain, For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. So they deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers, and it move not. So, this is a custom of the heathen. This is one of the customs. Now, this pretty much sounds like the Christmas tree. It says here, for customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest. This happens every December. It says, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, and it move not. So you getting down with Christmas, which is sitting down for dinner to rejoice the dismissal of the anointed one, which is Yahweh Shai, and you're also celebrating the birth of baby Jesus. And chances are you're going to have a Christmas tree very close by, which has been cut down from the forest and fixed up in your living room and decked with silver and gold. And this is here, they fasten it with nails and hammers, that it move not. Now this is Jeremiah speaking, in his particular time, and like I say, these heathen nations have constantly reinvented, worshipping something other than the Most High Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. So the idea of having a false idol, a false god, and putting up a Christmas tree in your house and celebrating, worshipping a different god from the true God, from the true power, this is not a new thing. The modern way of doing it in the Western world is through Christmas, but this is a custom that goes back, and it's spread amongst other nations as well. The idea of taking a tree from the forest and putting it in the house and decorating it with silver and gold, fixing it with nails and hammers to make sure that it does not move. It says here, the pagans would bring fir trees into their homes at Yuletide because it represented everlasting life and fertility. The Yule tree is decorated with lights, candles, and other festive ornaments to celebrate the return of light after dark days. So this is like the pagan tradition of the Christmas tree. And there's a few other things that I looked at here. Just as people today decorate their homes during the festive season with pine, spruce, and fir trees, many ancient peoples hung evergreen boughs, branches, over their doors and windows. In many countries, it was believed that evergreens would keep away witches, ghosts, evil spirits, and illness. So, we being the nation of Israel, we understand, and we're not dismayed by the powers of the heaven, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. So we understand that this is where evil spirits come from and illnesses. So to keep them away, all we have to do really is call on Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. But these other nations, they don't have that. They don't have that ability. So they pretty much make up their customs, and none of them are actually real. None of them actually work. That's why from kingdom to kingdom, they actually have to change. See, on a righteous level, throughout the history, you go back 2,000, 3,000 years, Israelites have only had to do one thing, which is call on Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. That's all you have to do, to call on, a righteous power to protect you from all this evil, wicked spirits that are out here. But these other nations don't have that. So they call on this particular power and it doesn't really work. And then eventually another kingdom comes along, they adapt it, they change it, and then they call on this name, and it still doesn't work. And you fast forward all the way till today, they've adapted this tradition again into the Christmas tree and to presents and to, Christmas movies and hoping that it snows. This is the things that they want to do. They play these Christmas songs, and ultimately they've adapted that idea of bringing in evergreen trees into their house and calling on false names. Is the tree a symbol of a pagan? The tree was thought to be a symbol of longevity, rebirth and renewal, strength and wisdom, and were believed to be our ancestors reincarnated. So this is what these heathens believe. They were thought that, the pagans, they thought that when a tree grows, that's your ancestor reincarnated. That's total load of nonsense. And obviously, according to the scriptures, and we are not dismayed by the signs of heaven. So we know that, when someone from your family dies, third or fourth generation, it should be reborn through your bloodline, through the father's bloodline. It says trees would have been planted at the center of a new settlement, providing vital resources such as food, shelter, and a meeting point for ceremonies. So what are pagan traditions for Christmas? Things like kissing under a mistletoe, caroling, wreaths, and even gift giving were all aspects of pagan holidays that were adapted into Christmas celebrations in the early years. Spiritual meaning of the Christmas tree, they go into the birth of Jesus Christ. And don't forget, Christmas is also celebrating the dismissal of the true Christ, which is Yahweh Shai. You could look this up yourself. When you delve into the idea of Christmas and the truth of it and where it actually stems from, you could be here all day. You can search around on Google yourself, and you can go into many aspects of it. But I'm just touching on the surface. It says origin and meaning of decorating the Christmas tree. It says with time people started to decorate trees in their houses, although it was not accepted by the Catholic Church right from the beginning. It was caused by the fact that decorating Christmas tree was taken from pagans and was considered as magic ritual and witchcraft. But eventually they did take it on board. And so, generations down the line, you've got people celebrating it today and they actually have no idea what they're doing or, what it's connected to. So like I say, you can take it a lot further than that. You can even look up the origin of paganism. It says paganism has its roots in the pre-Christian religions of Europe. Its re-emergence, in Britain parallels that in other Western countries where it has been growing rapidly since the 1950s. Where did paganism come from? In the strictest sense, paganism refers to the authentic religions of ancient Greece and Rome and the surrounding areas. The pagans usually had a polytheistic belief in many gods, but only one, which represents the chief god and supreme godhead, is chosen to worship. So, they pretty much just make it up themselves, like I say, and they adapt it every time a new kingdom comes along. Who started pagans? It says paganism has no singular founder, but rather was a religious system that involved the early collection of beliefs across several independent cultures. These included some of humanity's first civilizations, including the ancient Mesopotamians, Egyptians, and don't forget ancient Egypt was actually called Mitzrayim. So, customs from Mitzrayim, China, India, and Mesoamerica. So, like I say, the pagans, you can say that the idea of this, bringing this thing into your house, this tree, these branches, these bows, decorating them with silver and fixing them up in your house through this time is a paganism thing. But ultimately paganism is, as it says here, a religious system that involved from early collection of beliefs from across several independent cultures. So this is an idea that's come from, ancient Egypt, Mitzrayim, China, India, so on and so forth. So when you go back to Jeremiah, he's not specifically talking about the Christmas tree, but he's talking about customs of the people of many different nations. And so don't forget, so when Jeremiah was speaking, this scripture would have been relevant, and these words are also relevant today. Although these religions are called different things, the names of these false gods that they call on are different, and the way they celebrate these heathenistic customs are different. Ultimately, the idea is just the same. So this scripture now is relevant in the time of Jeremiah, be relevant before the time of Jeremiah, and is relevant after Jeremiah in today's time. And that's one way in which these scriptures are written by a higher power, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. One of the titles for Yahweh is the Ancient of Days. And because he knows everything from the beginning till now, and he already knew it, and he still knows everything that happened, he's the Ancient of Days, so he can scan across the history of the human beings, and he can see different customs of these heathens, and he can see the common aspects to each one. So rather than having to name Christmas and this one and that festival and that festival and that, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai can easily just pick out the points. These people, they keep taking these trees, taking them into their house, they decorate them with silver and gold, and they fix them so they do not move. This is something that's happened throughout many different kingdoms, many different heathens, and all their different traditions have involved that type of element. So that's how you know this is written by a Most High, because he's said one particular thing and it's covered many different false gods, many different kingdoms, many different heathens, and many different traditions and customs. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai knows it all, so he can. That's you wouldn't be able to do that unless you had witness to all of them. So that's how one way, if you can understand what I'm trying to say, that's one way in which you can understand this is written by a higher power. So for the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, they fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. And when you look at the word vain, you have the word hebel. We can get this open. My internet reception ain't great where I'm sitting. Here we go. Yeah, so the word hebel, it says here, Strong's definition, it says hebel, or rarely in the abs, hebel from H1891, emptiness or vanity, figuratively, something transitory or unsatisfactory, often used as an adverb, altogether vain, vanity. So this is emptiness. Putting up this Christmas tree, like I say, you've got people who are like 66 years old, and for 66 years they've sat down and they've celebrated the death, the dismissal of the Christ, Yahweh Shai, and the birth of baby Jesus, and they think they're doing a good thing. And ultimately, when the day of judgment comes and Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai return, these people will be judged, and they will believe. They will say, "Well, I've done a good work. I've worshipped the Most High," and they'll expect to be delivered. But ultimately, that is telling you here, this type of custom of the people are their emptiness. You're not going to get nothing for it. There's nothing in return for it. You sit down and you celebrate this ritual. Baby Jesus. There's a spirit behind it to keep you in darkness. But ultimately, this is not the power that can save you come the day of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So, there's emptiness in it, sitting down and doing that. People say, I worship, I went to church every Sunday. I sat down for every Christmas dinner, every Easter. And they think that they're doing well in the sight of the Most High, but they're not. Ultimately, these customs are empty. They're emptiness. There's nothing. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai is not going to give anything back for it, apart from judgment. And especially if you're living in the land of America, then expect to be destroyed if you're not down with this truth. Jeremiah 10:5 says, "They are upright as palm trees, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good." So, they've got these, like I say, they've got these customs, they've got these false idols, and they call upon them. And Jesus, Allah, Buddha, so on and so forth. But we know, we're not dismayed by the signs of heaven. We know that there is a higher power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So, for that reason, we're not afraid of these other customs, these other traditions. We can pretty much demolish the idea of Jesus and show you it's a lie, and show you it's total BS. and there's nothing that can come back on us, because ultimately we're calling on a higher power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. It says, for so much as there is none like unto thee, O Yahweh, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. So it tells you, Jeremiah saying that the name of the Most High is great in might. The name is Yahweh. You have to know the name. Calling on the name is that power. You have that magic word, to make whatever it is want to happen, that you need to happen. And that ultimate, if you like, that magic word, that special word is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Being an Israelite, we're able to call on that. We're fed through the Holy Spirit. Our eyes are open. We see the lies in amongst these heathenistic customs and traditions, and we back away from them. We leave them alone. Those of our people that struggle to do that, the judgment is coming very soon. But you have to know the name. It says, who would not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee doth it appertain, for so much as among all the wise men of the nations, and in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee. So you've got all these kings, and all this technology, all these ideas, this science, this technology, this data that they look at. But yet, even if you add them all together, all the wiseness of these kings together, and try to overcome Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, you cannot do it. It says, but they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. So a doctrine is a teaching, and a teaching of emptiness. So, go into these heathen nations, something that we've done. The reason why we forgot the name Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, the reason why the Most High drew his spirit back from us and left us out here to be deceived by these other nations, is because we were too busy eyeballing their customs and traditions and getting down with it. We thought maybe there's another answer somewhere else, but there hasn't been, has there? And that's why we've had to go through the transatlantic slave trade and many different captivities. And like I say, now we're in that time where Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh is showing grace upon his people, and through the work that has been done by Yahweh Shai, he's willing to give us another chance. It says here, but they are altogether brutish and foolish, the stock of a doctrine of vanities, their teachings of emptiness, these other nations. Brutish, you look up the word brutish, it says Ba'ar, Ba'wa, I believe that is. Ba'wa. Here we go. A demonative verb. It says to be stupid, brutish, barbarous. To be stupid, dull-hearted, unreceptive. These people, these other nations, they're dull-hearted, unreceptive. They can't understand the signs of heaven. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai does not work with them the way he works with the people of Israel, the nation of Israel. It says here to be stupid, dull-hearted, to feed, to graze, to cause to be grazed over. This is Bawa, a primitive root, also as demonative from H1198 to kindle, i.e. consume. Brutish, be brutish, bring. So it says here, but they are altogether brutish. They are altogether dull-hearted and foolish. The stock of a doctrine of vanities, the stock of a teaching of emptiness. That's all you're going to get, and that's all we have had by going to these other nations. Verse 9 says, silver spread into pleats is bought from Tarshish, and gold from Uphaz, the work of workmen, and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men. Uphaz and Tarshish are known, Uphaz was known for gold, and Tarshish was known for a few other things, gold, tin, silver. So this is just referring to the time of Jeremiah when they would have brought gold or silver ornaments in to furnish alongside with these boughs, these branches of evergreen trees that they were laid up in their house. Nowadays in 2024, people will get the tree, which represents the evergreen boughs part, and then they'll get tinsel. It's not actually, it's a fake gold, if you like, a fake silver. You can look it up yourself. What's special about Uphaz? It says, what is Uphaz in the Bible? Uphaz, a gold-bearing region mentioned in Jeremiah 10:9, as we just read, Daniel 10:5, otherwise unknown. Perhaps in both passages, Ophir, which differs in one consonant only, should be read, but in the second passage, instead of gold of Uphaz, perhaps gold and fine gold. And same with Tarshish. Tarshish is pretty much is recorded to have been a trader of tin, silver, gold, and lead. Now, people argue over the places of these particular things, but you can look into it yourself. But this just refers back to the traditions at the time, taking in these evergreen boughs into the house. And obviously nowadays we're doing it in a slightly different way, and they do it in, like I say, with tinsel, so on and so forth. Says verse 10, but Yahweh is the true power. He is the living power and an everlasting king. See, these other so-called gods, these other powers, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, they're not real, they don't exist, so they don't have power. They do have a certain sense of spiritual power, because Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, will put you under the spell of believing in those names. Yet, I can sit here, Caesar Borgia basically can't do you nothing. You can cuss out the name Caesar Borgia, Jesus, and believe on the name Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, and these other powers, they're not living, so they cannot do anything. It says here, but Yahweh is the true power. The word God meaning power, says he is the living power and an everlasting king. At his wrath, the earth shall tremble, and the nations shall not be able to abide his indignation. Thus shall ye say unto them, the gods, the powers that have not made the heavens and earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. So, out here now, like I say, there's a multitude of so-called gods, so-called names that people are calling on, and ultimately they're not living powers. So when it comes to the kingdom of heaven, all of these will be shut down. In the kingdom of heaven, you will have a totalitarian government rule, and ultimately everybody on the planet Earth will be made to worship the names Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. They will understand that that is the true living power, and we will force them to live under the customs and traditions of ourselves, of the Hebrew Israelites, of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. This is verse 12, says, he hath made the earth by his power, he hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heavens by his discretion. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapours to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. So everything you see, this ecosystem, the planet, the weather, the way it rolls around, all that. These are great events. This is an ingenious system that has been designed, called the planet Earth. With the atmosphere and the waters and the way everything moves around, and life is able to flourish on the planet Earth. And you have the rain. When the rain comes, it can bring lightning. You have these winds. These all down to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, that one true living power. None of these other gods can create that or affect it. You can go and call on Jesus, sweet boy Jesus, to end the drought and bring the rain. It won't happen. But if you're a Hebrew Israelite and you call on Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, that can definitely happen for you. If it's the Lord's will. Verse 14 says, every man is brutish in his knowledge, dull at heart, dull in the mind. Every man is brutish in his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, by that carved idealistic image that they've created. It says, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. Going back to Ezekiel chapter 37, I did in the last video, you have the great awakening of the Hebrew Israelites. And the sinews and the flesh has been put back upon us, and we understand we're Hebrew Israelites. But only those with the breath in them truly have the knowledge, the understanding of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. And then it says here that these other nations, it says here, every man is brutish in his knowledge, every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. It says they are vanity, empty works, and the work of errors. In the time of their visitation shall they perish, and that is soon to come. Looking at prophecy, looking at how close we are, we know that visitation is very nigh. It says the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name. So when the Israelites rule, the descendants of Jacob, all these other things, these powers, these so-called names, gods, they will all disappear. It says here, Jacob is not like them, because we are a righteous people. If we put away the customs and the traditions of these heathens and call upon the name Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, something that will be done in the kingdom of heaven, then you'll see a different rule than to what you've seen throughout all these other nations and heathens out here. It says, and Israel, the nation of Israel, is the rod of his inheritance. That says Yahweh of hosts is his name. It says, gather up thy wares out of the land, O inhabitant of the fortress. For thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will sling out the inhabitants of the land at this once, and will distress them, and they may find it so. Woe is me for my hurt, my wound is grievous, but I said, truly that is a grief, and I must bear it. My tabernacle is spoiled, and all my cords are broken. My children are gone forth of me, and they are not. There is none to stretch forth my tent anymore, and to set up my curtains. So we went the way of these other customs, these traditions of these heathens. We followed them, and we thought they would get us somewhere. And ultimately that's why Yahweh took the remembrance of himself away from our people and said, what, if you want to go with these people, go with them. But now, like I say, that great awakening is taking place through the grace of Yahweh, through the fact of Yahweh Shai shedding his blood for us. We now have that chance to be brought back to this knowledge. So now you have these prophets, this great awakening taking place, and that's what we're starting to do, stretch out that tent once again and set up the curtains and that that covering for the people of Israel, which is the name Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. It says, for the pastors are become brutish and have not sought Yahweh, therefore they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered. Behold, the noise of the brute is come, and a great commotion out of the north country, to make the cities of Judea desolate, and a den of dragons. It says, and the north country is pretty much referring to America. I believe that's America, because that's pretty much where our people have mainly gone into captivity today. It says, O Yahweh, I know that the way of a man is not in himself. It is not in man to walketh to direct his steps. O Yahweh, correct me, but with judgment, not in thine anger, lest thou bring me to nothing. It says, pour out thy fury upon the heathen that know thee not, and upon the families that call not on thy name. For they have eaten up Jacob, and devoured him, and consumed him, and have made his habitation desolate. And that's why we're scattered, amongst all these other nations today. So, we're coming back to this truth, we're coming back to the remembrance, and calling on Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai is vital. And then you've got these other traditions out here, these heathenistic customs. One of them, one of the real strong ones amongst our people is Christmas. There are Hebrew Israelites out here today that call themselves Hebrew Israelites, and they're going to sit down, I think it's the next week or the week after, they're going to sit down and enjoy a Christmas dinner. They're going to sit down and eat in the name of the dismissal of the Anointed One, which is Yahweh Shai, and they're going to celebrate the birth of Jesus. And they're going to say, I didn't really mean it, and I did it for the kids, and blah blah blah. But the bottom line is, how strong is the spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai within you? Since I came to this truth, obviously my wife, she calls herself a Christian. And so I made it a particular point. From the day I came into this truth, I said, don't expect me to sit down for dinner with you at this Christmas shenanigans ever again. And, how I ease the situation is that I pretty much every year, 25th of December, since I came to this truth, I just book a shift at work. Book a shift, and you get to go into work, and I can say, well, don't expect me at dinner because I have to go and put bread on the table to pay for the building that we're sitting in. And so you've got to be strong in it. People say, oh, we're doing it for the kids. You're pretty much getting your kids to idolize a false god and the name baby Jesus, so on and so forth, and everything that comes with it, the lies and everything else, Immaculate Conception and all that other horse doo-doo that goes along with the faith of Christianity, so on and so forth. So I hope that's edifying. I'm going to leave it right there. Like I say, there's a little bit of a gap between this video and the last one. Lord willing, I can come back at you again tomorrow or the day after with something else. So I hope that's edifying. Until next time, all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakak Wadash. And until next time, Shalom.